Hello, and welcome to the South Coast Artists Index, where artists, performers, and writers, as well as curators, directors, and supporters, anyone with ties to the creative community, drops by to introduce themselves to you. We'll talk about their beginnings, their vision, their passion, and so much more. The South Coast Artist Index podcast is brought to you in part by Heavenly Spirits, who invites you to celebrate the art of life and creative communities everywhere. Learn more at heavenlyspirits.com.
Hi, this is Ron Fortier with another episode of the In Focus podcast, brought to you by the South Coast Artist Index. And as per usual, I'm going to let our guests introduce themselves, and we'll just take it from there. And guest, would you please spell your name as well?
Hey, my name is Earl Lee White. That's EarlLeewhite. I'm from New Bedford, Massachusetts. Hopefully I'm an upcoming actor from around here. Pretty much a lot of you know me, and I'm pretty happy about that. So this is going to be a fun time. I'm happy to be here with Ron.
Great. Yeah, I'm happy to be here with Ron too. Seriously, I just flashed back to Groucho Marx. He was like one of my early TV days heroes in so many ways. And I always ask people about their names. Do they have these funny stories to tell about their names, even the simplest names? But, Earl White doesn't seem like it's a big deal. I mean, of course, the spelling of White could be different. The spelling of Earl could be different. Well, actually, I'm actually opening up the whole stage for you there. But when you said Lee, okay, the Groucho Marx popped up in me. Could you get any stories about that?
I mean, honestly, I'm not even gonna lie to you. I don't even know where my last name White comes from, let alone Lee. But I do know that my brother also has the middle name Lee. So I'm taking it. It's on my mother's side of the family.
Oh,
so
wow!
I'm kind of liking that.
I didn't even go there.
Hey, and you know what? That opens up a whole can of history right there. Half side is like Sicilian, another half is Cape Verdean. It's all over the place.
It's all over the place.
Family, so.
Yeah, no, I wasn't even going there because it's like Early, so the people think, oh, your name is Early,
Yeah,
that kind of thing. Because I mean, we had Fitz Carmel Lemaire on the show, and it was hilarious how people completely butchered his name. I mean, they cut it up in little pieces, put it back together in the wrong way. And when I heard Earl Lee, it's like all I could think of was Early, and it'll like look at you and go, well, I'm not even going to get into strange names. Yeah, all right. Anyway, and White too. I mean, because I know several Black Whites. And one of them, Linda White, her husband is the one who was the sculptor of the Lewis Temple statue. She spells it W-H-Y-T.
Oh, wow.
W-H. There's a Y in there somewhere. I'm dyslexic, so unless I see it, I can't talk about it. But anyway, yeah, it is interesting. It is.
I'm actually related to no whites, so it's pretty funny.
But you never know. I
know, right?
I've got some Sicilian in me as well, which was kind of a shock. I'm more Sicilian than I am French, and we'll get to the bottom of that someday. Anyway, so Earl, you said you were born and raised in a city, because sometimes people are born, they take off and they come back.
No, I was born in St. Luke's Hospital, New Bedford, Mass, 1989. I was raised in the South End, 208 to Cushing Ave, Bay Village, right there next to Monkeys Park. I was there till I was about, I want to say like maybe 9, 10. Then we started moving around.
Mm-hmm.
Went to different spots, you know what I mean? Moved to the North End on Linden Street, and then we came back over next to downtown. And then we finally moved to William Street. And that's when I pretty much met my buddy Owen Thatcher. And he gave me my first skateboard. And it was just a board with no wheels. And I used to do little shove-its on the carpet because my mom would get pissed off if I did it on the wood. And I wasn't trying to get an ass whipping, I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
And trying to live that life. So I would do that. Eventually, I got a bike, which is, obviously opposite of skateboarding. and I ventured downtown. And I used to go fishing off the dock, off the pier, for bluefish with just a string and a hook, and that was it. And I used to like catch them.
Yeah.
One day, this guy named Grandison, he was taking photos, and me being me, I've always been a person to speak to people. That's never been a filter of mine. I'll always talk to anybody. That's just how I am.
Well, that's how I got to know you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I just have to talk to people. I have
yeah.
to. And I started talking to him, you know what I mean? I told him that I was catching sharks. Mind you, I'm like this little 10-year-old with a string on my hand.
Yeah.
And he was just taking photos. He wasn't even skateboarding. And I was like, hey, what are you doing? And he was like, I'm taking photos. And I was like, why are you taking photos? And he was like, I'm taking them for my friend Owen. And that was Owen, who lived a couple of houses up from me.
Yeah.
And I told him, I was like, hey, I know an Owen. It was the same dude. Told him about the skateboarding thing. And that's when, I think that was like 6 months into him owning Solstice with Jay Vasconcelos. And pretty much he was like, hey, come up. You know what I mean? We'll hang out or something like that. So I went up there immediately. They hooked me up with a full skateboard. I did it for 20 push-ups. And then after that, the rest is history, honestly. They took one photo of me, and it was a flyer for a band at a bar on Union Street called Dirty Harry's. And now it's actually a hotel. That place.
Oh, that's right. Okay, I was trying to place it because there's been so many bars open and closed on Union Street. I'm like a roulette wheel going in my head, like which one?
This was back when, oh my gosh, Home Like Bakery was still on Union Street.
Yeah.
And I think the video store, Nat or something like that, used to be on the corner where Costa's is right now.
Yeah.
And they used to be the comic book store as well. And yeah, this was a while ago. I mean, I think McDonald's was right next door to Rite Aid, and Rite Aid used to be Brooks.
Yeah. There's been a lot of changes.
But yeah, it was pretty much that. And it was nothing. I fell in love. I had a passion for it just as much as I have a passion for cooking. You know what I mean? Like,
that's something that completely blew me away.
What, the cooking?
Yeah, the whole cooking thing. I'm looking at your plates and I'm saying to myself, okay, I know you worked for dining services, you know, at the university. That's how I got to meet you in my semi-retirement job at the university bookstore, at the campus bookstore. And I saw those plates and I'm going, okay, even a really bad cook can't present this well.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you right now, man, and it's the same thing that I'm learning in my sessions right now. I'm doing sessions with my mentor, James Dumont. He was in a bunch of films, Spencer Confidential, he was in Stranger Things, and he has this thing called on-camera workouts. It's on Facebook, and it's helping actors during this time to be prepared for when everything comes back. That way they know what they're doing, they have a toolbox that's full, and there should be no problem with them just brushing through whatever they have to brush through. And he's been teaching me, you know, the craft, and like to build and mold myself, and to figure out who I am, and, you know, bring it down to a level where it's like I'm being me and I'm not trying to pretend, you know what I mean? Because everything's kind of relatable. But then I'm starting to look at it, and then I'm looking at my plates as well, and I'm like, well, goddamn, I've already crafted things. I know how to craft, and this whole time I've been worried about, you know, trying to figure out how to craft acting and stuff like that, when realistically speaking, like, you know, I've crafted, you know, skateboarding a little bit, you know what I mean? I've learned how to do what I want to do comfortably, and I can have fun with it. Same with cooking. I've been probably cooking for about, I want to say like 10, 15 years in my life. And all local restaurants from downtown, always local. You can't learn in a corporate place. That's just my eyes. You know what I mean? I've tried IHOP for breakfast, and I'm happy I did that for about a year. You know what I mean? But between No Problemo, Tia Maria's, even back at this is another old one, Daffodils. That was a breakfast spot right downtown. I used to wash dishes there. It was breakfast in the morning and it was Chinese food in the afternoon. And even I did a couple of years over at Rose Alley. And that's where I actually got to like really flirt with food, I guess. And, you know, I had all the cool white plates that I wanted. I had all the things that I needed. And, you know, it got to the point where even there, like Mike San Juan, he was my chef. And he pretty much was like, hey, listen, I like your ideas, but let's make a little specials menu and like, let's pop those things on there. And that kind of just took off from there. You know what I mean? I've always been pretty focused when it came to like preparing things for people. And it's not only about making the food correctly, but it's also about the presentation, because, you know, you can make the bombest food in the world, but if it looks like pig slop, no one's going to eat it.
You know, that you know, has the analogy alert go off in my head, because I never realized until just now, as you speaking, how, you know, people always say, oh, food is love. Yes, it is. I mean, there's a whole bunch of other things, but I never realized how, well, running a restaurant is theater, because it's almost, it's the front of the house, the back of the house. But hearing you speak, I'm hearing the presentation is one thing, obviously. You know, it's the eyes eat first. But there's also that timing thing, because I spent time as a line cook, and your timing has to be impeccable. You have to know what's going to happen before it happens. And it's the same thing with delivering your lines. I mean, sometimes, you know, that deep breath is worth more than you prattling on to the next line.
Exactly. It's almost like James says, you have to see it before you say it. You know what I mean? And it's the same as cooking. You know what I mean? You have to see it before you present it. You can't just wing it. You know
I had a friend of mine, a chef, who's very well known around here. We could actually cook virtually, just having a conversation. And I would say, okay, so now, well, he would say, okay, I'm going to start off with a thinly sliced lemon, a little butter, start to grill it. Then I'm going to add, and then I would go, oh, and he's like, yes, and then, and we would build this crazy recipe. It was like really, really crazy. The acting part, I've got one, I'm going to ask you this question first. Do you wear the character, or does the character wear you?
Honestly, I'm portraying the character.
Okay.
You know, the words aren't my words. It's the character's words. It's the character's feelings. I'm just, you know, portraying it. I'm trying to display to you the way that character feels, as deep as I possibly can. As it you know, it could be a relatable thing. You know what I mean? It could be something that I've been through that oh wow, you know what I mean? That's I can understand that. You know what I mean? It could be something that's brand new to me. But at the end of the day, it's not my words. It's the character's words. You know what I mean? Just like that commercial I did. It was the character's words.
I mean, I believed you so much so that I was going to ask you, are you a recovering addict?
No, not at all.
Well, you sold me. I mean, it's great either way. I mean, but it was that believable.
But at the same time, you know what I mean? Even with that, I was happy to do it. And honestly, it was easy for me because I've lost really close friends to it. You know what I mean? I've seen people go down the drain. I live in the city of New Bedford, unfortunately. I mean, not unfortunately, but unfortunately, it has a lot of drug issues. You know what I mean? And it needs to be acknowledged, honestly. You know what I mean? Sometimes my mom used to live downtown, and I didn't like it because she was right next to the bus station. You know what I mean? It's not a good thing for you to be worried that your mother's next to the main source of transportation throughout the city. Mm-hmm. You know, that doesn't make any sense. So I can relate. You know what I mean? Like that. I'd rather be the face. I'd rather you think that I was an addict recovering, and I'd be the face that you're like, you know what, Earl did it, and he announced it. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go do that now. I'd rather that than me ignore it and not like try to do something about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At the end of the day, me acting, it's not about me getting a bunch of money or the fame or anything like that. It's because I love showing, and I love being able to speak on someone else's behalf that, you know, maybe can't speak, or maybe can't say it, or maybe just needs the face, you know what I mean, or the relatable cause. I want to be that person. I want to be that one motivation for someone to be like, yo, look at that. Let's go do that. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, even on the line, you have this box, whether it's a rectangle or not, and on the other side of that box, you pretty much have to make those people happy. And that's all I've known all my life, is a box.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even right now, we're in a box.
Exactly.
And my goal is to make the other people on the other side of this box understand and happy and know that we can be positive, and it's not just like a super negative thing. You know what I mean? And it bums me out that it's taken, like, you know, what's going on in the world right now for people to acknowledge that. But you know what? Like, it's now. You know what I mean? It's now.
I just have to stay away from that for right now, because it's too close to home.
It's a sensitive subject.
It is. I mean,
you know
I grew up
that
different. I grew up different, Earl. I grew up, I mean, my mother's 93, and I really never appreciated her until like last year. Like, damn, my mother's dead. I mean, everybody else's mom, people my age, they're dead. And here she is, she's still chugging along like a train. And, you know, how we grew up. I mean, you know, there was like not a lot of normalcy and such. But I'm going to get away from that from right now. I want to know, when did you get bitten by the bug? Were you always like the kid in the family who had stood up and became a character just because you just liked the attention, or you were just annoying?
Was a character. Some would say so. Some would actually say so 1,000%. I was always a character. You can ask everybody in my life. I always had to sort of stand out, and I had to be loud, and I had to be known. I had to say something. There was always something on my mind. You know what I mean? I've been doing this character stuff since I was a kid. You know what I mean? Ever since Vinnie Lovegrove and the Miracle Fish Puppets, back when I was like 13 years old. That was back with Gallery X and stuff like that. Back when First Night was an actual thing, if you remember that.
Yeah.
First Night was awesome back in the day. They used to have ice sculpting. They used to shut off streets. It was amazing. Fireworks everywhere. And it slowly went away, but I don't know why. But I've always had to do something, even now with the collective. You know what I mean? Like, I'm there. You know, if I can do something online, I'm gonna do it. You know what I mean? If I can show up at Gallery X or their theater or your theater or whoever's theater for the collective, I'll do that 100%. You know what I mean? I love performing. I love making the other side happy. I love the expressions. I love the sounds, whether it's a boo or not. I just love it because it's a sense of acknowledgement. No matter what the point got said, the lines got said. It was fun. I enjoyed it. I loved it.
All right, and here's one of those questions that is not meant to make you wriggle, but make you think. Is it acknowledgement or is it validation too? Because I've got that thing as a painter. You know, you want to hear nice things, right?
Yeah. No, it's more of an acknowledgement. I mean, I'm not here to like be, you know, pretty much okayed by anybody, or like, you know, hey, you got the pass. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the reason why I do a lot of the things that I do. That's the reason why I post the things I post. You know, I've learned a long time ago, just because of my dialect, you know what I mean, that I wasn't accepted by a lot of people. And then I learned a long time ago as well, because of my dialect, that I'm very loud, and a lot of people want me to be louder because I have to stand out. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, if people don't like me, it's cool, whatever.
No. I mean, when I first met you, when you came in, you know, to get your daily dose of an energy drink or whatever, you had this bearing about you, and it wasn't like, oh my God, the black male thing. You know what I mean? It was, you had this bearing of Malcolm X, who had a bearing, and you also had the same, like maybe a morphing of Malcolm X and Samuel L. Jackson. There was this thing about, I know who the hell I am. I don't need you to acknowledge that, which again, that's what made me take to you as a person, you know, and I kind of enjoyed too that you'd come in, and that was also your brief, your 30-second bitch, you know. You know, you
Yeah,
come in,
hey, yeah.
you
I had
vent
to.
off,
I
yeah,
had
you
to.
blow off
I
a
had
little
to.
bit, yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. So it was a place where you got something to put in and something to let out. And I
Yeah.
guess I was a sympathetic enough person to allow you to do that, you know, for whatever reason. So that was kind of cool. That was very, very cool. Bay Village. I'm going to predicate the question by telling you something that is forged in my head. It was either Donna or Carol, one of those big hurricanes. I remember as a kid driving around with my dad. This must have been before my mom returned from New York. And it was raining like hell. I mean, you know, it looked like everything was just going to explode, the sky and everything. And we were running around like everybody else was to get tape for the windows and kerosene for the lanterns and candles, because we were still living in 3-deckers at that time. You know, my dad was still coming up. And we drove by Bay Village, and it had already started to flood. This is before they built the wall. And I don't know if it was a humanitarian thing that somehow got screwed up by the optics, but they were loading people from Bay Village into trailer trucks like they were cattle. And I will never forget that.
Yeah, that's just life. That's, I mean, you know what? At the end of the day, you can't break what's already broken. You know what I mean? And I mean, my mom was in Bay Village. You know what I mean? I wasn't born yet, but she was there. She just moved there from Boston.
Mm-hmm.
My mom grew up on a farm in the Cape, a cranberry bog, with cows and chickens and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Then she went to the projects. I remember I couldn't even go to the basketball courts when I was born. But one thing I had to play in the backyard on milk crates. It was pretty funny. You have to punch a hole through, or you have to kick a hole through to get one of the big kids to do it.
Right.
But I do remember this specifically. Anytime that it would rain there, it would flood. I wasn't around for this flood or this storm or the loading of people at Bay Village at all. And you know what? That just sounds ridiculous. But I can see a flood. Because even when I was a kid, after it rained, we couldn't play in the front because even the grass, it almost seemed like the grass had its own pool inside of it.
Yeah.
And it would always flood. But yet, when it was not flooded, it looked flat. It was weird. But it would flood. It would flood like crazy all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If it rained, it rained. You know what I mean? There was like a puddle in everything. It almost seemed like everything was like in. And it was just flooding in. And all the houses were where it should be flooding.
And you figured that it was substandard because of the residents, but then again, it was probably sloppily built because it was built in a rush for the returning GIs, because that's what those homes were for, was for the returning GIs. They were GI housing. Don't forget, these guys left as seniors in high school, some of them, and came back with a wife and kid, you know, from Germany or France or wherever, and or came back single, and then had to finish school, find a job, and then, you know, then that weird vacuum started where people started moving around. A bunch of people started moving out to the suburbs, and then a bunch of people started flooding in, and this whole pandemic is just pretty much ripping the Band-Aid off of all that. You know?
I mean, I'll tell you for one thing, it's cool that they've been like kind of renovating it lately. But I remember when it wasn't renovated.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a different world then. But hey, you know, to each his own.
And then the interesting thing is with the Cape Verdean community, so close by, taking up an area that was once a Jewish community, you know, so there was like the step ladder thing, you know, like those fish ladders where the fish are always climbing up and climbing up and climbing up, but then it's to a point where people don't climb up anymore. They just get stuck there, you know?
Yeah.
I'm just going to get to the point. As a Black actor, what kind of roles are you looking for? What kind of opportunities as an actor, and I mean personal opportunities, personal missions, goals, are you looking for? Because
Honestly,
you're our first actor, actually, which is kind of cool. Because everybody thinks this is just for painters, you know.
actually, it's I'm pretty happy that you asked that. The last class that I did last Friday, and in James's on-camera workouts, I had a questionnaire, and one of the questions was, well, actually, I'll give you two of them. I can't give you all of them here, but I'll give you two of them. One of the questions was, if you could, you know what I mean, who would you work with? You know what I mean? What is a person that, what is one person that if you could work with them out of everybody, every movie that you've seen, who would you work with? You know what I mean? And what do you want to leave behind? That was like the second question, pretty much. And you know, I've listened to everybody, and like a lot of people would say, like, you know, a lot of political people because of what's going on right now and stuff like that, and all this other stuff. And you know, I'm no different. I kind of got political, but at the same time, I kind of changed it. I grew up on my own African American superheroes in movies, and it was two of them to me that were almost equivalent to being Batman, which I love Batman. Batman is the best to me. But it was Blank Man and it was Meteor Man. And Blank Man was made by the Wayans brothers, and Meteor Man was made by Robert Townsend. And pretty much that was the first dude I can only talk about, because it was Meteor Man. That was like, to me, the first Black Superman. You know what I mean? Like, that was the dude. He was trying to save his neighborhood from a gang that was controlled by the government, which is, yeah, it's not the same as now, but at the same time, it's very relatable. And I got into this whole spiel on, I really wish I could meet Robert and, you know, pretty much discuss maybe a Meteor Man 2, and like, you know, have it, you know, it would be so easy to just recreate it in now, because it's now, and it would work. It would 1,000% work in every what way, and it is needed, because you know what? No offense to Marvel and Black Panther, but it slightly bummed me out that people thought for 1 second that that was like the first. I've seen posts that said, yeah, the first African-American superhero. No, the first African-American superhero that I saw in my day, and it could have been ones way before that, you know what I mean? Like, you know, historic heroes and stuff like that. But the ones that I saw on TV were Blank Man and Meteor Man. And they weren't there trying to, like, you know, save a whole world with the government of, like, you know, aliens and stuff. No, they were being mad realistic. They were in the middle of the ghetto trying to save their community from BS that was all tied to, like, a government thing. You know what I mean? Blank Man. His grandmother died in a political freaking poll room thing where they were trying to, like, you know, get this Senate to be voted for. That way they can help their community. And the other person, the opposing person, didn't want that to happen. So he got her killed because she was the Black woman that stood up, and she was in the community. She had to deal with it. You know what I mean? He figured out his little way of, you know, creating bulletproof stuff, and he stood against it, and he won. You know what I mean? Like, it's the same thing that's going on right now. And you know what? In my eyes, you know, again, people can disagree. It's whatever. This is my perspective. You know what I mean? There's billions of minds in this world, you know, and that's just how it is. But in my eyes, we need another Meteor Man. We need another Blank Man right now. They're so fond of recreating, you know, classic movies and stuff like that, and sometimes ruining them. Just saying, that's just being honest.
Yeah.
But sometimes they kill it. You know what I mean? But remake one of those. Be realistic. Bring it back to where people are going to acknowledge, like, hey, oh crap, wow, that's really, You know what I mean? Let it click for like another second. Keep it going. Keep it fresh. Don't let it just be a moment and then go away. You know what I mean? Like, period. I've seen these moments happen. I've seen these moments happen through multiple people. You know what I mean? Multiple deaths. And it doesn't make any sense. It's a moment for X amount of months, and then it goes away.
Yeah, the news cycle.
Being realistic, it just goes away.
Yeah.
I don't want this to happen again. I don't want this to be a moment where it's like, we're going to riot and go crazy. And then like a couple of months later, it just goes away. That's what really pisses me off. It's happened several times.
Well, I spoke to my mom last Sunday, as I do every Sunday. She's living in Portugal. She went there to retire. Whole backstory about that. But anyway, we lived in New York City. I always say I did the reverse Jefferson, because we lived on the east side, between Madison and Fifth, with her uncle after she left my dad. And there was a falling out, and we ended up on the west side. Therefore, the reverse Jefferson, we moved on down to Columbus Avenue. And she's very different. She is, I can't say was, because she's still alive. She was so far advanced from everybody. She was the first feminist I've ever known, not even knowing what the hell a feminist was. And there's a bunch of other things. And when I called her, she wanted to know what was going on. You know, were we okay? Was my great grandson and his father, my granddaughter, were they okay? Because she knows. And I said, she's watching the news and she's always been political. And she said, when we lived in New York, and she got very emotional. She said, when we lived in New York, I saw a white cop beating on a young black man, and his mother was screaming for mercy. And his only crime was that he said hello to a white woman. And she said, you mean to tell me that that's still going on in America? My America? I said, yeah, Ma, that's the way it goes. And she was just devastated. So yeah, it is the time. It is the time. I'm wondering what this pandemic, right now, I was just going through Amazon Prime, and I was shocked by how much stuff is bubbling up or popping up. Last night I watched, I'm no one's Negro. I'm not anybody's Negro, on James Baldwin's thing that he never finished. And there's so many more things that are going on. And in the arts, we're supposed to, is art a reflection of life, or is life a reflection of art? And you talked about graphic arts, comic books. I find it odd that whenever the world is all screwed up, that's when the superheroes start to come out. Check out the popularity of superheroes. It's like a wave. When things are good, when things are bad, they're there. They're the voice. The Wayans brothers, I remember seeing in living color for the first time, and I sat there stunned and frightened, because I didn't know who they were. I didn't know they produced the show, and my first thought was, somebody's going to bomb that studio. It was like so refreshing to.
That's why they got Jim in there,
Well,
like,
yeah.
Hey, hold on.
No, seriously. I mean, it was like, okay, these guys just peel back. They peel back the yes sir, no sir, thank you sir bullshit. And they just and then like saying, okay, it's not them versus us, it's us versus us.
Yeah.
I
just wish that they were back writing, you know what I mean, doing it again.
Yeah.
Because they made a blunt change for a while, you know what I mean? People, it's funny because sometimes people frown upon those shows now. Obviously, they're like younger kids who didn't like grow up in that era and don't really understand it, and they're looking at what's going on now, and like then they're like, oh, comparison. Where it was not, because it was a different freaking era, and things were a little bit different then. You know what I mean? But still, like, make a difference if that's the case. Create your own damn show and show your perspective and show what you believe that people should see. And don't care about what other people think, because then you won't make the show, because you'll start judging yourself and stuff like that. So never really care about what you think, but create the damn show. If you have a voice and you want to say something, then say something.
Well,
I'd
if you
rather
had the
that.
chance, if you know, this is a Barbara Walters thing, if you had a magic wand and you had one wish to make anything happen as an actor, you know, to change the world, that's the whole thing. It's almost like the genie and the three wishes, you know. But
Like,
there were, you know, don't forget there were what was the there were limitations to that contract.
yeah, of course. I would
Right?
only need one, honestly.
Yeah.
I would only need one, to be honest. And it would really be to link with Robert Townsend and even the Wayans brothers at the same time and create like something where Meteor Man and Blank Man are one in one situation, and it's like an ultimate superhero thing, almost like the Justice League, but with them. That would be awesome to me, just because it would make that much of a statement. Like, I know people would probably wish for like a whole bunch of like imaginary things that just sound crazy and far-fetched, like world peace and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem realistic. Yeah, and I mean, if that was really the wish, then you know what? We've all put our coins inside of the well, and it should have been done by now. You know what I mean? If we all agree on it, technically speaking, but realistically speaking, we don't. You know what I mean? We don't at all. We're infatuated with shows that pretty much, you know what I mean? And no offense to these directors and makers or anything like that, like that are just, you know, focused on negative energy. You know what I mean? Like 90 Day Fiance and Teen Mom and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's cool to show a bunch of people kind of just awkward. You know what I mean? Taking two people from two different countries and then smashing them together, even if they are talking together, and just thinking that, like, I don't know what they think, but like it just seems awkward to me. It's super awkward. Even Teen Mom, like, why would you want to just do that? You know, why would you just be like, oh yeah, sure, I'm 16 and I'm about to have a kid. I would love to put it on MTV and let the whole world know that this is how we do things.
Yeah.
Like, no offense to these kids, they should have been smarter, but that just doesn't make any sense to me. And that's just my perspective. People love these shows, fuck it. You know, let them love these shows.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, man, like, that's just, it's too much negative things. And it's kind of what the world is consumed by. Negative stuff. It needs its negative energy to rotate. And it bums me out. Because every time something super negative happens, it seems like the whole world is about being positive. But no one's really uniting. No one's uniting. Something negative happened. Let's do some negative stuff.
Yeah, let's just keep picking a scab.
Let's keep being negative. Fuck it. Let's be negative. Yeah, that's just it. You know what I mean? But that's just my view of it. You know what I mean? That's why half the time I kind of shut my mouth and stay inside of the house. Because some people would hate my perspective. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just me, though.
No, it's true that there's really no redeeming values on some of these shows. It's almost like, well, I'm feeling really good about myself because I'm not that asshole.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, okay.
I'm superior because, you know, those people. And that, all it does is just help fire up that stereotype.
It does. It does.
And like it or not, stereotypes are based on realities. But the problem with stereotypes are it's a rubber stamp. It never changes.
No,
you know?
It doesn't. It just grows, becomes something else, transforms. Sometimes it forms like Voltron. It's just what it is. You know what I mean?
It's weird. When you were talking about fusing Blank Man and Meteor Man together, for some weird reason, the Holy Trinity popped into my head. And if you could almost, you know, the pinning thing would be like this religious concept of the Trinity. You know, I don't know.
It would work. Hey,
I don't know.
It would blow people's minds. It would literally blow people's minds. I mean, I don't know if you've seen this show yet, Space Force. It's on Netflix. It's actually pretty freaking hilarious.
Oh, actually, yeah. I've only seen bits of it, but it's like one of those movies I've never seen the entire movie.
Hey, that's fair because it's a TV show, and along with that, if you really pay attention to it, you can tell that like someone had to have hit them up and be like, "Hey, listen, you really can't say that. Like, you can't. Hey, you can't say that," because they literally make fun of this dude through the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing, and I see the hidden messages. I'm no dummy.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But if they can create things like that, you know what I mean, and all these crazy things that's on TV, then there should be no reason why they can't create a Blank Man, Meteor Man duo that takes over the government really quick and really like socks it to them or some crap. I don't know.
Yeah.
Wherever
Without.
they think it would fit.
Well, let me ask you too. If you were to do a black superhero kind of a movie, production values, you know, like over here in the States, for some reason, everything's got to be over the top. It's got to be cartoonish. And of course, we're talking about a cartoon, but I mean, they ramp it up even. It's almost like when Dick Tracy came out, that was like huge in production values because of the cartoony sort of feel and blah, 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 blah. And I thought it was kind of bizarre because sometimes when you're representing something or you're reproducing something, it has to have its own life. You know, people know, you know, that's Dick Tracy. I've read that strip in the funny papers ever since I was a kid. But going back to this, imagine a movie that seems absolutely normal, except the characters in the movie start to develop and they're not normal. They don't have like this fabulous underground cave. They don't have this fabulous, you know what I'm saying? None of these things, it's just normal, just totally normal.
I mean, Blank Man was normal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where did he live in? He lived in his house first until he got too much junk.
Well, that was almost like Eddie Murphy and some of his characterizations of living. I mean, he was like 17, 18 years old, you know, when he was doing some of these characterizations. And he didn't need all the trappings. He just needed that face.
Yeah, that's it. You don't need an eye-catching background.
Yeah.
You need a strong voice.
Let me ask you. I mean, some of the things that we had discussed through Messenger, because that was like the tipping point for me, and it was also the tipping point for me with Fitz. I don't like to see people hurt or diminished or marginalized or whatever, but it really does come down to color, doesn't it? On both sides of the equation.
I mean, realistically, yeah.
Was it too black? Not black enough.
Yeah. No, it is. You don't sound black enough. You're not black enough.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You do this, it's not black.
Yeah.
You don't do black things. Yeah. I can go on. You don't wear black clothes. The fact that there's even black clothes. Yeah. Black hair. You have black hair. The fuck? I have hair. Like, what does that even mean? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, no. It's always color based. Everything is color based. It's freaking weird. I always said that I wish that a giant spaceship would come down, and I feel like that would kill a lot of things out. You can't make fun of my black ass if there's a green person coming out of nowhere. You know what I mean? Like, let's be real here.
Yeah, let's just focus our attention.
Normal.
Yeah.
You're pretty used to me now, right? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. It's by contrast, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He comes down, green skin, 6 eyes, and 4 lips. Yeah, you what? Yeah, no, that's it. Like, it's freaking color based, man, and it needs to stop. Just like I'm, originally the message from us on Facebook, dude. Like, my post was the same post that everybody's posting. You know what I mean? I'm proud to be black. But at the end of the day, before I put that, I put exactly how my black ass grew up. I don't speak black.
Oh, I was going to get to that.
Yeah,
I was trying to frame it like, okay, just listen, don't think to what I'm going to say about how you sound. Yeah,
no, I don't. You know what I mean? Well, I do. To me, I'm a black man. You know what I mean? I sound the way I damn sound. You should be happy that I have dialect, but like,
it's not so much the dialect. It's not so much that. And this is that, you know, the A word, the articulate. You're so articulate.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, you know.
Anybody can read a book, bro.
You
You know what I
know,
mean?
yeah. I mean,
I did great things as a kid.
yeah.
I really did. But like, it bums me out because, I mean, I've played video games, all right? And this is where it really stands out. I'll tell you this right now. It stands out to this damn second, and it sucks because half the time it's from some little black kid where I know it's a little black kid because he's being that ghetto. And I'm even hypocritical for saying that, just to be honest. You know what I mean? Like, because it shouldn't be viewed like that. But at the end of the day, I know it's a little freaking ignorant black kid because I can tell what the hell he's saying. You know what I mean? He's trying to be like, there's certain things, you know what I mean? And I don't know, genetic airwaves or some crap. But anyways, and he'll be the first person to be like, you're not black. You don't even sound black. And it's like, what? And it's funny though, because I love doing this as well. I'm like, oh yeah? I'm like, you sound like a stupid freaking little kid that has a freaking smartphone. I was like, you have a smartphone? He's like, yeah. I was like, you have the internet? He's like, yeah. I was like, Google my name. And then I'll pop up and I'm black and he'll listen to me and I sound the same. And he's like, what? You know, what? This ain't you. And I was like, yep, it sure is. And like everybody else in there will say the same damn thing and they'll be calm about it. Be like, no, that's him. And then like, it'll get down to like, you shouldn't really like, you know, judge someone on the tone of voice or the pronunciation or the fact that they're articulate or the fact that they, you know, say things a little bit differently. I really, really, really would love my own community to stop thinking that. Cool, you speak in slang because it's the neighborhood that you're from. But that doesn't mean that the rest of the people in the world are going to sound like you. You're going to go to England and be like, oh, you don't sound black to the most ghetto freaking dude out there that does not sound like you.
Yeah, and even the most ghetto dude out there isn't going to sound like the ghetto dude here because it's kind of an amazing thing to hear the accent.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's like, I remember Jesus Christ Superstar, which was done with I mean, the cast of the London cast, which was done almost like a post-apocalyptic kind of a thing with the, you know, the uniforms, and it was nothing like biblical. And it was like, oh my God, you know? So there's something I noticed last night when I was watching, it was on Independent Lens on public television, I Am Not Your Negro. And James Baldwin was very articulate, very educated. I mean, he was a hell of a talent. And he also had an incredible presence, and he knew, you could almost see when he spoke that it was always two minds. It was like, you ever notice cats asleep, but their ear is like a radar dish. It just keeps scanning like what's in the room. You know, that's what I got from him. And he was speaking, and I could see the audiences that he spoke to. And then it was that other thing, the intellectual thing. I am wondering if this whole backlash towards intellectuals that we're still dealing with to this day was not, if it was fired up or ignited or fanned the flames more because the intellectuals were the ones that were the protectors of the blacks, and then you had the black intellectuals, which really rattled a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't supposed to be smart.
Yeah, so
we weren't supposed to learn how to read. We weren't supposed to figure things out. You know what I mean? So
what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to gather all this stuff into a theatrical frame, because you are an actor. How can all this stuff now be squeezed back out to audiences? How can all this stuff, can we have epic productions, epic performances that make people just leave a theater with their jaw like, you know, dangling between their legs, like they can't even talk. I mean, all the air's been taken out of their lungs. They're just stunned, and stunned not like, they're stunned by truth.
I would say, honestly, to just be more relatable, and that's just being realistic. If it's something that someone can relate to in their real life, then it immediately hits home. and then it catches you. You're like, oh wow, I just went through that, or oh wow, that's going on now. This is, oh wow, this is what's going. You know what I mean? Like, you have to grasp the mind, and it's mainly for being, you know, realistic and relatable. You know what I mean? Like, that's honestly that's it. Like, you have to relate, dude. Like, you have to. Like, you can't just do it. You have to feel it. You can't just sit here and just say words. Anybody can say words on a piece of paper. You know what I mean? But to feel the words, to understand it. You know what I mean? To take yourself out of your shoes and put yourself in the words' shoes. You know what I mean? Like, that person's shoes. Those are words. Those words are from someone.
Mm-hmm.
Or they're, you know, they're depicting someone. There's someone.
Yeah.
That person might not be here right now. You see preachers all the time in churches preaching out of a book, you know, a bunch of words, and they're feeling it. And they have all these people coming back every Sunday because they feel it. If every Sunday you went to that church and that dude was like, okay, chapter 2, let's just go to Revelations, I guess. You guys cool with that? Is that, you know, that's not interesting. There's nothing going on there.
Yeah.
We're not going here to just read, but it's not a book club. You're trying to grasp people. You're trying, I mean, in their case, they're trying to get more people to come there. But, like, you know, at the end of the day, it's like, I've seen churches, little basements that are churches filled with people. Mm-hmm. And this dude is just freaking energetic. So energetic that people pretend to feel the energy and pass out or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, or whatever, you know, it's whatever the case is. But at the end of the day, like, there's energy there. You have to have realistic energy. You have to have, you know, a feeling. You have to believe in what you're saying. You can't just say it.
Okay, now, as an actor, you've got two venues. You have one where you have a virtual audience because you can't see them. The only one that you can see is the crew and the production crew and so on and so forth. So you really got to be in your head, and you have to imagine yourself in a space where people are relating to you. And then there's the other side, live theater, where you're just feeding off, you know, that one individual that you know you connect with, and it's like a little ripple that just goes out through the entire audience because that guy gets it. That guy's like hollering out to you, almost like in church, you know. There was this priest, his name was Father Hessian. I had never met him before. It was an uncle who passed away suddenly, an aunt who passed away suddenly. And it was a strange parish, you know, went to pay my respects and so on and so forth. And the eulogy he delivered was like mind-blowing. And I went up to him afterwards and I said, you know, I don't know anything about this parish and so on and so forth. And he said, oh no, I'm just a fill-in because, you know, there's like a shortage of us. And I said, well, how is it possible that you knew Peg, you know, Aunt Peg? And he said, I never met her. I said, it's almost impossible. He said, no, it's not.
You read something.
No. He said, do you remember last night, you know, at the wake, I went and talked to you? He said, I talked to everybody. And what I did is I pulled a mosaic together of her life. And I went, holy crap. That's exactly what you're saying. So,
oh yeah, 100%.
Relating now, relating is a super important word. But the bad side of that is the inability to relate. So
every word has an emotion. Everybody's, I mean, just like with the person who made that eulogy, as much as he gathered that information, he also gathered the emotions. You know what I mean? He wasn't able to deliver that with just a natural emotion. That's a reflective thing. He pretty much played a mirror.
All right.
And he mirrored everybody there in one thing. And he took all of those emotions and brought it into one thing. And then he displayed it. It's like a little emotion atom bomb. You just, you know what I mean? Same case scenario. You might not relate, but each one of those words has emotion to it. It has feeling.
Now, as a painter, you know, people would ask me, up until recently, I was strictly an abstract painter. Very proud of it. Like a voice crying in the wilderness. I mean, an abstract painter in a seacoast town, really? It's just, everybody wants boats and water pictures, right? But people would ask me about, my process and blah, 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 and all that other stuff. And sometimes I said, I don't think about anything. I try to paint nothing. And I feel sometimes like I'm an antenna of some sort. As an actor, artist actor, do you feel the same way, that you are a conduit, an antenna, a lightning rod, that kind of a thing?
Yeah. Every day, I never sleep.
Yeah.
I am up at like 5 a.m. I go to sleep at like, I want to say maybe like 9. Sometimes I take a nap really quick, but I'm always writing something down. I have notebooks on notebooks here of ideas that I just come up with. When I was writing lyrics, I would wake up in the middle of the night and write out 16 to 32 bars just because I thought of it. But nowadays when it comes to acting, because, it's, not my words, and it's like scripts and stuff like that, I've been taught and I've learned to Sherlock Holmes it. And I'm pretty sure you do this secretly without even realizing it. Now, what Sherlock Holmes obviously did is that he would walk into a room and analyze every damn detail of everything.
Well, I'm OCD, so.
You know what I mean? Hey, and sometimes you don't even think about it.
Yeah.
All these things that are inside your head are probably grabbed from certain moments of your life or moments that you've seen throughout the day or throughout the week or the month or something like that are there. They're all there.
Mm-hmm.
It sucks that we can't access it immediately, you know what I mean? But it's there. Sometimes it just pops up when it needs to be. You know what I mean? But you pretty much did that. And then you bring it to your canvas. You already Sherlock Holmes what you want to do. You already know what you want to do, realistically speaking, as much as you're like, oh, I'm just going to go for it. Subconsciously, you already know what you want to do. It's already there. Just like with the scripts, you know what I mean? I look throughout the whole damn thing. I read my lines. I read the other person's lines. I read the side things. I put in extra notes on the side of it. You know what I mean? Sometimes if it's digital, I just have a notebook and I just write down what the script is and I just, add extra notes or maybe it's this, or I do like a little bit of a backstory. Sometimes I get way too extended and I go way too deep. But that's just me really thinking about, outside of the box. And yeah, that's just my main thing is Sherlock Holmesing things. And I feel like that's like a really good thing to do for anybody if they're really trying to analyze something or like trying to learn something or something like that, or trying to figure it out or get the feeling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Really look through it.
Where are you right now in life?
In life?
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm just here. I'm rolling with what I need to roll with. And I'm trying to be the best person that I can be, motivation wise. I sometimes choose my words not wisely, sometimes I do. But sometimes I just have to say it, just even if me saying that one thing is going to change someone's perspective of something, or like, even if it's like a negative thought, as long as they think something different really quick, I enjoyed it. Because I just put another thought inside of your head. You know what I mean? I put something different there, regardless of what I said, whether it was positive to you or negative. So right now in life, I am just at a point where I just want to motivate everybody. I want everybody to know that they can do things.
Okay, the hardest question, what's your dog's name?
Michael, yeah.
Michael.
Michael, sit down, please.
I asked you where you are, and my next question is, where would you like to be?
I like to be at the bar with a friend of mine, having a beer, and relaxing really quick, honestly, because I just been cooped up in here so much. But realistically, with life, I would want to be to the point where anyone can just hit me up and be like, hey, Earl, I have this idea, and I'll be able to actually help out with that idea. You know, obviously, as long as it's like a feasible, good idea, I'm never going to just not take in someone's idea if I ever go anywhere in my life. You know what I mean? My acting life right now and getting into it is not based off of how many freaking directors or like, you know, casting agents or getting an agent or any of that stuff, how many people I can reach out to like that. It's more of how many people I can collaborate with. You know what I mean? How many people I can build something with. You know, and like if I have to dish out a couple of bucks, all right, cool, I'll do it. Let's go make this happen. You know what I mean? Let's not be silent. Let's do things. You know, you have to spend money to make money when it really comes down to it, but I'd rather spend money to make motivation. That means more to me right now, especially as an African American man. It means a lot more to me to motivate my own people or anybody, but realistically my own people, because it's like I don't want to be looked at as like someone who doesn't speak the same or is like different because I do this or because I hang out with white people or whatever. You know what I mean? I want to be looked at as, oh, Earl? Yeah, we hit him up last week and we're about to go do this right now. He's sponsoring this event for us and we're going to make this happen. It's for this. You know what I mean? Like, I'll tell you right now, throughout this epidemic, or I mean this pandemic, all this craziness, I've donated. For the first time in my life, I've donated over like a couple $100 to like certain things, and I'm happy about that. You know what I mean? I don't have all the damn money in the world. I'm a broke dude. I'm not balling. I'm not no freaking. I didn't make one commercial and make a bunch of money. Like, no, none of that happened. I'm just a regular ass guy. I just love to just build with people. I love to just motivate people to do things. You know what I mean? That's the reason why I'm here, because someone's going to hear this. Someone's going to agree. Someone's going to disagree. It's going to happen, whatever. But I'd rather that conversation than them to just think that nothing can happen. That this is just it. You want to do something? Do it.
Yeah.
Look at you. You want to do, you're doing it. You know what I mean? Period. Don't ever let anybody tell you that you're not, because you are. You're 100% doing it. You're trying to make music and do that. You're writing. Do it. You got the most smart freaking. I got a phone with 2 damn screens on it. You know what I mean? Like it.
Wow, that is cool.
Technology is here, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like technology is here.
Yeah.
I've known films that were filmed with just an iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like you have the ability to do it now. Make the change, be the change, be the voice. You know what I mean? Like,
do you feel a weight on you, or an obligation, or a responsibility, or any of those things?
Yeah. I feel like because I'm sitting here and I'm annoying my fiance every once in a while with me being like, you know, a character I am, like the character that I am all the time, like I should be out there doing it and showing people. I should be out there motivating people to do things. I shouldn't be sitting here. You know what I mean? The amount of things that's happened in New Bedford itself, like people made stickers with my face on it. You know what I mean? Screw that. Like I should do something. I should. There should be no reason why I shouldn't. It's been leading up to this my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
When I really think about it, I mean, if I was supposed to fail, then I feel like I would have already failed, but I haven't. You know what I mean? I've gone crazy once, and you know, I've realized that, like, all right, this is what I got to do. I went crazy because I felt like I was confined. I felt like I wasn't doing enough, and I didn't know how to do it. But then I just started doing it. I started reaching out. I started connecting with people, whether they're famous or not. I've gotten response back. I've made friends. You know what I mean? Like that we can potentially make some cool things happen. And like, that's my only goal, is to just do that. So yes, I have 100% all this weight. You know, I'm happy about this weight. I am super happy about it because I'm going to take this weight with me and I'm going to go motivate as many freaking people as I can. Period. That's just what I'm going to do.
All right. And then based on that, I'm going to wrap it up. How would you like to be remembered when it's all said and done, when you're not here anymore?
Earl White, follow his Instagram. he makes really good food. No, honestly, it's funny. I told several people this. I was like, hey, listen, because originally before I started, thinking about acting, I was trying to work on set and I was trying to work in catering. And some people, know me from that, you know what I mean? Some people know me from being a background extra on set and stuff like that. I made a lot of friends like behind the camera. It's pretty fun. They're pretty awesome. They're all awesome people, actually. They're all amazing. They do really cool things all the time. But they all follow me on Instagram.
Yeah.
And they say, hey, Earl, next time I see you, and I was like, don't even say anything. I was like, if you're not liking what Crafty's pulling out, just find me and I'll make something happen. I just like making people happy. I want to make the freaking world happy. That's it. That's all I want to do. I want to make the world happy, whether it's through food or not through food. I feel like I can make Gordon Ramsay happy through food. That and joint probably.
Yeah, well, I think there's a man I think who is two people. That's only my opinion. That because he had to eat like everybody else, he went with the let's do the raging bull chef thing. But I've seen moments of him that were not acting. It was him. I mean, there's like, the steam pulls away and there's this really good human being, but this rage that's in him, he's probably angry at himself, and then he sees other people and he gets angry at them because he knows that there's a better solution. But right now he's just got to make a living. But that's only my opinion.
No, he's angry.
Is he?
Yeah, he's angry.
All right. And just really quickly, Lenny Henry, who used to do this great PBS show called Chef.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, here is a black man. He's cordon bleu, the whole 9 yards. He just does not fit. He does not fit. And then the regimentation and the structure of kitchens. Everybody has their place, and you have to stay in your place, because if you don't, it'll be chaos.
Yeah.
But anyway, so anyway, I think you have this like incredible future. I'm so glad that you were able to come on the show.
Thank you for having me.
I tell everybody, this is never a one and done. This is just an introduction, because you can't do your whole life in like 45 minutes to an hour. And when something happens, something you really want to shout about, or you've got an idea, or something's really annoying you, because I can't help but allow this show to reflect the times that we're in. I can't sanitize this show. I mean, we're living in a pandemic. We're living in another period of racial upheaval. I used to remember as a kid, every summer, it's like, okay, that's going to burn, and then
it's like they're keeping the rotation going.
Exactly. Yeah. We got so used to the bad that we expect the bad.
Yeah. No more.
Right. Exactly. So with that in mind, thank you very much, Earl Lee White, actor.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And with that, I'm signing off. It's Ron Fortier with another episode of the In Focus podcast. Thanks so much for joining us. Bye.
We'll see you next week for another episode of the South Coast Artist Index podcast. The South Coast Artist Index podcast is brought to you in part by Heavenly Spirits, who invites you to celebrate the art of life and creative communities everywhere. Learn more at heavenlyspirits.com. To learn more about the South Coast Artist Index, visit theartistindex.com. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Be the artist you believe you are, and let's take care of each other out there.